Hello there, Parth Sharma this side, bringing you best chess games going all around the world. Do take time to like, comment, share, and to subscribe to my channel. If you're already subscribed, then do press the bell icon for future notifications. And if you like my work, then do consider supporting me on Patreon and PayPal. You will find the links in the description because your support is my motivation, which keeps me going. And if you want to watch a specific game, you can click in the timestamps given in the description box so that you can jump straight to the game that you want to watch. So the first game that I would be looking at is the Blitz game between Hikaru Nakamura and Ding Liren. The score was 2 apiece after 4 rapid play games, and this was my favorite Blitz game from the second set between Ding and Hikaru had to win that set to force set 3, and this was one of his wins, and it was a very good win. Pardon me if I gave it away the result, but that was a splendid win by Hikaru to force set 3. And by the way, it was 1 apiece in the Blitz games as well. So they forced Armageddon and Hikaru won that Armageddon with white pieces against Ding. So that was another superb accomplishment. I would be looking at only one game from their match. The next game that I would be looking at would be between Anish and Grischuk. So without further ado, let's go. Ding is white, Hikaru is black. Ding opens with his customary d4 and f5. And if you remember that Hikaru played Dutch against Antonio Radic as well, the agate mater, and I'm happy that the YouTube restored his video, the podcast which he did. It was taken down, and it was sad to see that I would say chess YouTuber, so famous chess YouTuber such as Agadmator's video is taken down in that way, and it was staggering to see, totally unbelievable. But anyway, Ding here plays g3, knight f6, bishop g2, g6. This is somewhat semi-Leningrad variation. If you remember that I have covered a game between Firuzja and Fabiano, where Fabiano plays this against Firuzja, or am I mistaken? Anyway, we will jump onto that game later. In fact, I have analyzed that game. So if I find that game in my archives, I would surely tag that game into my video. So this is all pretty much standard. Bishop to g7, c4, castles, d6, knight to c3, c6. So what is black trying to do is to basically just push e5 and break down white's center with authority by placing its own pawns on e5, or probably in a good word to say, let's placing it on d5 and with e5 as well. So he plays d5 and now comes e5, undermining this weakness that usually has on e7 by placing d5. So Ding takes en passant, bishop takes, and now b3 defending the pawn, but with b3 this line gets open, so this knight can be a potential target, potential discovery target if this knight moves, and it moves in such a way that it captures a piece, and that would be that. So Ding would make sure that he doesn't play e4, so that if knight takes, the knight won't be able to recapture because bishop would be eyeing straight down the rook on a1. So plays rook to e8, Hikaru, and now knight to g5, attacking the bishop. So if this knight moves, you can take the bishop because that would be attacking the queen. So bishop goes back to c8, and now bishop to b2, defending this knight on c3. Knight to a6, Hikaru continues his development. I think his aim would be to play knight to c5, and this is somewhat reminiscent to King's Indian structures, where you see these kind of pawn formation, and if you ask someone which opening is this, and people would say king's Indian, but the problem is the pawn is on e2 for white, so there might be some confusion to get over on which opening this is. Queen to c2 is giving more protection to the knight on c3, as well as to enabling this knight to move such that this bishop is not under direct attack with the bishop on g7, giving itself more protection. Knight to g4, there we go. Knight to h3, bishop coming to e6, knight to f4, knight restationing itself from g5 to f4, bishop to f7 to dodging the attack on e6, rook a to d1. So this is a very important move, not only attacking this backward weakness of black but also developing its rook to a semi-open file with black pawn in that file. That's very important. And the queen is also opposite to the rook, so it creates further pressure on the pawn on d6. And here the best move should have been to play knight to c5, because with that move being played, this knight at least gets some center square, and although there isn't any direct attack whatsoever, this knight on c5 would also defend this bishop a3 attack on the pawn on d6, an indirect attack, as I would say. Maybe an option. Hikaru plays queen e7, still not bad either. And here Ding misses his chance. He should have played e4 to at least give himself some opportunity and clear the smoke in the center, because after e4 this file would get open and you can even station your rook to e1 if you have time. Obviously playing after knight d3, because that would lead to exchange of both rooks. But Ding gets a little bit worried. He throws the knight back to from g4 square by playing h3. The knight goes back to f6, and now he plays f4 or e4. But now this extra piece is also attacking the pawn on e4, and that's the thing. So f takes e4, no direct captures, because now three pieces are defending this, and this rook indirectly defends the pawn on e4. So that's the point. Rook f to e1, so making sure giving more attackers to the pawn here. So knight c5 defends the pawn, b4, and I would say b4 was a pretty committal move, as we will see in the game. Knight to d3, knight takes, pawn takes, so if rook takes queen, then pawn takes queen. So first queen dodges the attack, queen tucks back to f8, queen takes that extra pawn, so pawns are still level, and there is nothing, I would say, pretty much serious about it. But Ding has 3 minority and Hikaru has 4 minority, but his majority is not far advanced. His majority is still stuck at the 7th and 6th rank respectively, which means that even with this minority, black, or I would say white, will still have the upper hand, or I would say an equal hand in pushing the pawns towards from the queen side. So knight d7 opening this long diagonal, that's a good thing. So both bishops are now looking towards the queen side, and this queen has a job to defend the pawn. c4, knight to a4 by Ding, rooks get traded off, and now knight to e5, and this is a very strategical move by Hikaru. And obviously, as you can see, knight and bishop both are looking at the pawn on c4, and it's very difficult to defend this successfully. The only way to defend it is to eliminate this knight, which he does. But what does this do? That this opens this queen's line to b4, and if you, let's say, play a3, then there might be the case that this knight might find itself struggling here, and you can even play b5, and then things can look a little bit shaky. Maybe not b5 immediately, but still a move to consider in the future. So he plays knight to c5, b6, attacking the knight and also defending from this capture. And there is a possibility that he can take the pawn on c6, but then the pawn takes, and rook and a pawn against two minor pieces is very good compensation for the piece, for the, I would say, for a player who has given up his rook for two minors. So that's why you have to move the knight first, knight to e4, and now queen takes b4. Well, the knight actually blocks bishop's way now, so you cannot capture the pawn anymore. Rook to c1 defends the pawn on c4, queen to b2, but now Hikaru's queen is invading this space, and now his pawns are looking absolutely dangerous on the queen side. That's the point. B4 could have been defended by playing a3, but he plays knight to c5, as I said, pretty committal, and this was a blitz game, so no time to analyzing that. Queen to d7, so giving more activity to the queen. Rook to f8, so making sure that everything is safe and sound, both bishops and the rook, defending this king with any sort of mischief that white would have up his sleeve, as I said. And Ding can take this pawn and give this pawn, but the problem that then would be two connected passes, and still, and by the way, I should say, if you take this is defended by the bishop, and yes, I said two connected passes can be a problem for Ding, so he decides not to, but to play knight d6, and the best move here that Hikaru should have played is to play queen to e2 to keep attacking this rook, and also to initiate bishop takes c4. But here he plays queen takes f2 check, and with some forced tactical sequences will follow. And here the best move should have been to play king to h2, maybe giving a little bit of breathing space to Ding to get good moves, good basic moves, especially also attacking the pawn on a7, and also the pawn on c6 via this bishop or via queen, because the bishop then will be pinned to the king in that case. So he plays king takes f2, and now next series of moves are forced. Bishop to e6 check, knight to f5. So he traded pieces like that. King e2, bishop takes, and now rook takes. So this is opposite color bishop ending, but the problem is that Hikaru has 3 pawns. He's 3 pawns up in this position, and this looks, I would say, even with 3 pawns up, you can still say with opposite color bishops, if he manages to put these pawns on dark squares, then the position can be draw. Rook to f7, so now his attempt is to trade rooks. Rook to d8 check, bishop to f8, bishop takes c6, so he's now 2 pawns up, Hikaru. But soon enough, this position would crumble. Rook to c7, that's limiting white's options. Rook comes to e8, a5, and now he's starting to roll his passer. Ding goes for a pawn grab. King has to defend the pawn, I would say defend the promotion. Rook to a7, rook to a2, making sure that a2 doesn't happen, but this forces this rook to get locked after bishop e5, king c2. This rook is somewhat locked on a2, king to b3, rook to d7, king to d4, b4, king to f6. Now king gets activated because these pieces are absolutely running out of moves. King to b5, king to e5. Now king is looking in both directions now, also in this direction as well as in this direction. And Ding here plays bishop to c6. Maybe he should have taken the pawn, but it wouldn't have made a lot of difference. Probably the difference that it would have made is to giving c pawn a passer, but that could have been easily dragged off. And after rook d2, Ding Liren resigns the game. Why did he resign? As I said, the king is looking in both directions. This king would like to come like that to hunt this rook, or come like that to hunt this pawn. And another thing is that rook can go to h2 straight away, hunting this pawn, and there is absolutely no defense. These pawns will drop, and black would like to rob his kingside majority too. So this was a beautiful game that Hikaru played, and I liked that game. It was a very beautiful game, as I said. And by this game he actually leveled the score in Blitz, and which forced the Armageddon, and he won the set 2 to force set 3, which we will see tomorrow, that who will be the fourth semi-finalist. But we know who the third semi-finalist is. It is someone between Giri and Grischuk. Giri, the birthday boy, and he won a game before, but the game that he won set 1 and he won a game before, but the game that I liked the most was this game, and it was a pretty interesting game. So without further ado, let's jump on to this. Grischuk is white, Giri is black. e4, e5, knight f3, knight c6, bishop c4, bishop c5. Grischuk plays b4 Evans Gambit. No, he goes for c3, so-called classical structure, knight to f6, and Gyoko pianissimo, as they say. So d6, and normally you see h3, h6 in this position because the spin after bishop g4 is really annoying. It hinders the development as well as it restricts the queen and knight's movement, because if queen moves, then bishop takes and ruin the pawn structure, and knight cannot move, because I think knight shouldn't move because the queen is behind and it's pinned to the queen. So that's the point. Bishop to g5, h6, bishop to h4. Grischuk keeps the spin, and Giri, if he wants to, he can come out of it straight away, but then the problem would be that after this exchange, knight takes, there would be a lot of pressure on the pawn on f7. You might see even queen on landing on f3, and things can turn really nasty then. But Giri goes for something classical. He goes for a5. Grischuk goes for knight b, d2, and if you remember that Carlsen played bishop e6 against Caruana, but that was a different game in which we saw a4 as well. And the main idea was that after bishop e5, knight here, Magnus Carlsen said it was a mouse slip that he captured the bishop on b5 in that game. But here Giri goes for bishop a7, h3 to stop bishop g4, g5. So now Giri starts to push his kingside pawns. Bishop tucks back to g3, castles, queen to e2, king to g7, so making sure that everything is protected. Well, if you push h6, g5, you want this dark square bishop to be around the king, which isn't the case here, and which would mean that if white is able to open the position on the king side, then that can lead to some trouble to this black king. So Grischuk long castles, bishop to d7, bishop b5, It's somewhat a similar position where Carlsen took it with the knight. This bishop called a mouse slip, as I already said, and normally you see knight e7 in this position, and this is also pretty well recognized move. So Giri plays queen e7, not bad either. Bishop to h2, and now a4. So Giri starts to push his queen side pawns. a3, so Grischuk shuts down all the possibility of pushing that. And here the best move should have been to play bishop to c5, and with the simple intention to open the line of this queen and this bishop barraging down on a3 pawn after playing, let's say, d5, and probably that could have been a good option. And also by playing bishop c5 you can even play rook to a5, attacking the bishop, at least putting some question to this bishop. So this bishop would have to, let's say, exchange itself for the knight, and the game would roll through. But he plays knight b8, challenging the bishops. Grischuk plays d4, so e takes d, c takes d, and it was pretty interesting that he didn't want to trade bishops. So I don't know what was going through Giri's head. He just brought his knight back to c6, and now e5 by Grischuk, pawn takes, and now knight to d5. Knight to e4 by Grischuk, bishop to e6. So far so good, everything is alright. And here I think that Grischuk should have played rook to d3 here. He played this rook to here, and by playing rook to d3 the simple intention would have been just to double the rooks here and create more pressure on this knight on d5, because this pawn at the moment won't be able to defend this knight. So this knight would have to leave this square, and which would open this file for both of these rooks, which would also restrict the movement of these rooks coming to this file as well. And with coming to this file as well, I mean coming to this file with authority. And not to forget, this is also one of the options, and as we will see later. Grischuk plays rook h1, rook fd8, allowing Giri to get an open file. And here Grischuk should have played, let's say, g4 here, and probably that would have been a better idea here, to play g4 just to close these structures here, and would like to play this knight to, let's say, here, and that would be better, I would say. But he plays queen c2, and he didn't realize that he has fallen into a tactical trap by Giri, and Giri can play any of the knights here, but he chooses this knight to b4. He could have played this knight as well, but then rook takes rook would have simplified the position. But thing is that after a takes b4, knight takes b4, nothing would change. And okay, the queen is attacked, and Grischuk doesn't defend this queen. He takes the rook on d8, but what happens if he plays queen to e2? Then this is the big point. Knight to a2, king b1, and now queen comes to b4. That is the main point, threatening a3, and this knight is somewhat defended. And let's say if you play bishop to d3, then a3 is tremendous in this position. So after queen b4, let's say if you take the rook on d8, the rook gets traded off. Then again, what move can you play in this position? White is somewhat in a zugzwang. There is also, if this knight moves, then knight c3 is also a threat. And let's say if you play c6, that's another big threat. The bishop has to move, and then a3 would come. I would say this is lost for white. So after knight takes b4, Grischuk dumps his queen, but he gets 2 rooks for it. And knight takes rook. There we go. So you can say, okay, as I said, why did you say 2 rooks for it? Well, he actually indeed has queen against a rook, I would say, in this position. And I think the simplest move would have been to come knight f to d2. Beg your pardon, not simplest move. It's not easy to find knight f to d2. Maybe to keep this knight here and not to take it, because after taking this knight, which is what Grischuk did, queen b4, and suddenly there is, I would say, triple fork in this position. All 3 pieces are hanging. And again, it is a very interesting situation, and it has some tactical solutions to it as well. Knight to d3 looks like this will drop, or Giri takes the knight on e4. Well, if you take the bishop, then suddenly tables will turn, because after knight f6, threatening rook g8 mate, that would be a serious Giri heartbreak, and that would lead to a draw. Why? Because after h5, rook g8 check, king h6, rook h8 check, king g6, rook g8 check, and black has nothing better than to just doing tip top from h6 to g6, because if you, let's say, go to f5, well, this would be a heartbreak for Giri, and you don't want this on your birthday. So after knight d3, you cannot take the bishop because knight f6 will lead to a draw. So queen takes e4 is, I would say, one of the best moves. Rook takes a7, so he recovers his minor piece, but again it's queen against rook thing. c6 attacking the bishop, rook takes a4, and after queen takes g2, Grischuk resigns the game. One of the minor pieces is dropping. Look at this poor bishop, it has no escape squares. If, okay, one escape square, let's say bishop to g3, but then this bishop drops, and if you remove this bishop like that, then this bishop drops. In fact, this bishop cannot be saved, because let's say if you play bishop, then this bishop would drop anyway. One of these will go, and here Grischuk resigns the game, and Giri gives himself a good birthday gift, and he progresses through to the semi-finals. So we have 3 semi-finalists. Yesterday Nepo beat Artemiev, and so he became 2nd semi-finalist. 3rd is Giri, and 4th we will see tomorrow. I hope you liked my video. I hope you liked my analysis. Thanks for watching. Stay safe. Cheers. Bye.